Welcome to the eCom Collab Club podcast, where operators, risk takers, and battle-tested founders drop the lessons that cost them time, money, and their sanity, and share what actually works so you don't have to pay the same price. Hosted by Peter Gardner and Adam Pierce, founders of the eCom Collab Club and Blend Commerce, the Shopify CRO agency, and proudly sponsored by OmniSend. Email and SMS marketing so good, it's boring.
Oi, welcome. I think welcome to the ECC podcast, everybody. And let's just pretend that whole intro was a little bit different, and it wasn't Adam Pierce, and it was meant to say Rich Evans. And Rich, there we go.
Yeah, I can't keep up with a Brummie accent for a whole hour, so just gonna have to make do with the real me, not the
Weren't you born and bred there, so you should be able to do this?
Yeah, and I spent years conditioning my accent to lose it.
It's crazy. I've got a slight Brummie twang mixed in with my South African and starting to get a bit Aussie now. So who knows?
I particularly enjoyed the moment last week on this podcast where Lorna said that you were her favourite because she loved your Australian accent, and no one stopped her.
To be honest, I didn't hear her say it in the moment because I was too busy celebrating in my mind because she said I was her favorite. So that is the main reason why I didn't say anything. But
you were running off.
It was sunk in afterwards. I was like, she said I was Australian.
Yeah. The main reason that you were the favorite was because of an Australian accent that you don't have. So you were running off celebrating with your shirt in the air while VAR were reviewing it for offside.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks for bringing those football terms in here. I don't understand them too much. We call it soccer here.
I was going to say you slipped up then, didn't you? You called it football.
Yeah, I did slip up. But, I'm trying to cater towards the audience and making sure we do these things.
But yes,
right.
hi.
So we actually don't have a guest today. And essentially, Rich is actually probably fulfilling two roles today. He's being one of the hosts, and he's essentially going to be one of the guests because a lot of what we're talking about today is right down Rich's alley. He is very much the expert in this field, and he knows exactly what he's doing with his emails and the post-purchase elements. So we'll get into that today. But before we get into that today, just going to bring this thing up because this is quite big news right now for those AI geeks that like a bit of AI, and I do massively. You might have seen Adam's post this week. It did go, probably still is going viral. I think it's probably close to 200,000 people looking at it now. But yeah, Shopify and ChatGPT have partnered up. It is going to shake things up, and we're going to get into that a little bit more later on today as well. And we'll talk a little bit. Hey, we're going to throw our ideas out there and think what could be happening and what this change could mean for our industry. Some buzzwords around conversational commerce versus e-commerce or chat commerce, whatever they're calling it. Do you think we're going to call it C-commerce?
I don't think we need another name.
We don't need another name just yet, just commerce.
Yeah. And do you know what? I'm fuming because I was all ready to pull you up on this today and say, yeah, but it's not going to find everything. It's just going to find, and I've just asked it to find me a great hat that supports mental health whilst looking really cool that I can get delivered in the UK. And the only result it's found me is an Uncle Matt's brain freeze cap,
Yes!
which is the one that I am wearing. So
did you get the buy button?
I didn't get the buy button. I didn't get the buy button. I just got a result, but obviously I'm 2 clicks away from a buy button, which I'm going to guess is just a feed issue, because new startup, whether Steve has plugged into the Google Shopping feed yet or not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we don't know if he is, but at the same time as well, not everyone's getting served that up yet. My understanding is that it's currently America that's getting them, but Yes.
But again, look, okay, there's the first point on it, and I know we're not supposed to be talking about this yet, but you can't help yourself.
I think it leads us into what we're talking about today in any case. But carry on, Rich.
But that's the first point: is people need to not just assume that this is going to work for your brand. You've got to put all the first thing we need to now do, and you and Adam can trailblaze it because you've got the virality. But what do brands need to do to be ready for this then? And how long is it going to be this wonderful? I've just found the best result there, not the brand with the most money that can put their paid ads in front of me. How long before ChatGPT looks to monetize these results, and paid ChatGPT advertising is there? It can't be long, surely.
I've heard that it isn't their play yet. I say yet because I think there's going to be so much regulation, and see what they're saying is ChatGPT and AI has actually got way more of ability to sell to you, as in people are trusting it more than what they would just trust your website right now. And that is crazy to think that we have already adopted this machine and gone, okay, cool, we actually trust this thing more than actually talking to a human right now. And that's a crazy thing. When I heard that today, I was like, what? That is insane. So I think what they're worried
And
about
that's with a fairly faceless ChatGPT. Like ChatGPT is the robot, but actually it's the creation of the almost human-like AI, like VAs and PAs and stuff of the future, where you're going to trust it even more because it's got a human element to it. And I'm not asking ChatGPT, I'm asking Holly, who sits in my pocket and helps me do things and book travel and stuff, so yeah, it's only going to get more. And I suppose I do though think though it's my kids that this will be more relevant for, as opposed to the here and now.
I would strongly disagree with you on that. I think this is going to hit us faster than we even know it. I mean, Rich, I don't know how much you use it, but it's pretty much the first thing that I pull up on a daily basis. I'm living in it.
Oh, I saw
I'm
the prep
learning.
today.
I'm learning a crazy amount. Eh?
Yeah, I use it. I leverage it
Yeah.
consistently. I rely on it for very little, but it has
Mm.
absolutely sped up my productivity,
Yeah.
and things like that. I think I just, a year ago, a lot of very knowledgeable people in content like this were saying that the same thing about TikTok, and how search was dead and TikTok was the new search engine and everybody was using it and things. So are people
Yeah.
going to stop using TikTok and using ChatGPT? Did they ever actually adopt TikTok in that way that everyone said they were? And also, what is Google going to do about this? Like, we're already seeing Google adapting its search to be serving people, and Google is so trusted. Like, people are saying, "Oh, I'm Googling on ChatGPT," and I'm like, so you know, no, you're not. You're asking Jeeves. Like, that's we've gone full circle back to Ask Jeeves. My dad's going to be
Flippy.
overjoyed because he still asks Google questions in the same way that we. So yeah, I think there's just a longer way to go than is perhaps um, being shouted about at the moment.
I think
There's a
we
trend.
definitely going to disagree on that, because
Yeah.
I think what we're talking about today, especially with the post purchase, I feel like this is going to become way more important to get your branding across, because it's going to be the one place where you can still own that experience. Whereas a lot of people are actually going to acquire customers going through this process of actually not even hitting their website.
Mhm.
People are going to be interacting with AI. They're going to be asking it the questions. They're going to be asking it all the questions, all their pain points about what they want to know about that product, all the other products that are competing with it. And in a lot of cases, they're going to get enough information pumped through to them within that chat that they're just going to be perfectly happy to hit that buy now button on there. They're going to go through the process. It's all going to be connected within AI, and then you've got the ability, because they're going to hit that thank you page. That's finally when it's going to become your brand now, because then you get the ability to email them at that point.
For a certain type of purchase, absolutely, I agree with you. when you know what you want, you know the size of it that you need, and you know when you need it. Absolutely. How many purchases though happen with impulse because you see something that you didn't realize you needed until you see it? And so I still think there's going to be, it isn't just going to take over. There will be some purchases and stuff that this will be really relevant for. Same as this purchases that TikTok Shop is really, really relevant for. You know,
Yeah.
TikTok Shop for me is that sort of, you know, where you're queuing up to put your shop through the checkout and you see something and you buy it. That's that impulse sort of purchase of that thing that you don't need, but it's right time, right place sort of thing.
Mm.
And I think ChatGPT and acquisition of customers there is going to be really good, where someone wants to cut through all that noise and cut through. And this is why I think the paid thing is going to be really, really interesting. And if they do go to monetize these things, because at the moment it's the option for me that cuts through all the noise of, I don't want to see the people that have got the most, have bidded the most money. I want to see the people that are most relevant to my very specific prompt.
So that's the old Google search. That's when you used to go, I've got this problem, what's the product for me? And then you skip all the ads and you go down to find out what the best results were. I mean, ultimately, that was SEO. Essentially, that's going to be the new SEO.
So, okay, in a straight up Google versus ChatGPT, sort of Google shopping versus ChatGPT shopping, for want of a better way, how are you saying that ChatGPT will overtake Google in terms of that specific category of, I know what I want and I want to price check it?
What I wouldn't say I know what I want, more I know what problem I have right now. I know what type of product I need right now.
High intent purchase.
A high intent problem solving purchase.
Or a HIP. I don't mind an acronym when it creates a cool word.
Where's your acronym buzzer?
It is here. I did get it out this morning.
There
actually.
You go. You just get to buzz yourself for that. That was terrible.
There we go. Okay, but you're saying that ChatGPT will overtake Google for that category of purchase that we've just made up?
I do think so, but I also think the more that we
When?
adopt ChatGPT in our lives and the more it becomes more and more powerful, I do think there's going to be more and more of the other things, because like you're probably going to think I'm sounding crazy here, but I see a world where we sit in an AI app that's on our desktop that isn't a browser, that is just the thing that we're working with. It's your personal chief of staff, somebody that sits there, tells you exactly what you need to do all day, every day. It keeps track of everything. It's essentially tells you this person's waiting for a reply to you via email, but you no longer have to email. You just reply on ChatGPT, and that then responds to that person's ChatGPT. That person's ChatGPT gives the message just like you would like it. It's not how I wrote it. It's how you like receiving it from AI. I see a future where that email is dead with this.
Well, thank you to your
Long
guests
term.
and your sponsors.
Long term. It'll take, like you say, our kids to be fully used to this thing before that.
Yeah. Okay. When?
But I mean, there's still going to be the need to market. There's still going to be the need to send those updates.
When's the takeover happening? Just so I can
tomorrow. You never
my
know.
exit. Yeah, I'm not dismissing its impact on the world, but yeah, I think we agree to disagree.
Cool.
I've got a quandary. Do I answer?
Does he want to come join? I'll tell him he's live on a podcast.
Right. Oh, I missed it.
Rick, I think we can riff a little bit more about what the future of AI looks like. We've almost done this backwards. We're going to only get into that at the end. But let's
move into help yourself.
I couldn't help myself. It's just making my mind hurt almost with what's going on right now, on what could be changing in this world of ours with eCom. But let's start with what happens after a purchase. So what happens between that checkout and thank you page? And this is your opportunity. For me, this is, you've probably heard me talking about, I talk about buy now, buy more, buy later. And when I talk about the buy more, the average order value boosters and things like that, when you're on site and before you've got that purchase, for me, it's always going to be done very tactfully. You've got to not interrupt that purchase. You've got to not affect your conversion rate with your upsells and your cross sells, because it's more important to get that sale than it is to get a higher sale. Now, that rule almost goes out the window at this point for me. This is the point where you've got carte blanche to just go, okay, now I don't have to worry about the user experience. You do take that with a pinch of salt. You do still have to worry about it, but you don't have to worry about hurting that conversion because you've just got it. So now's your time to go, hey, you've got extra space in the box that we're sending to you. Would you like this product as well? I'm just sending one of those little cross sells, upsells at that point. And it's the perfect time that it doesn't hurt that conversion rate. But it's also the perfect time because this is their dopamine hit. They've just been hit with dopamine. It's the perfect time to throw them a product. They go, hey, I'm missing out on that thing. I didn't spot it during the purchase flow. Now it's time for me to add that to basket as well. So it's a great time. Very easy. It's just one click. And our friends at Rebuy, who, I'm biased as hell. I love Rebuy for post-purchase and upsells and cross-sells. And this is a perfect time to have them because they've got the ability for you to actually have a flow here. You can have the ability to offer one offer. If that's accepted, you can then offer them something else. If it's declined, you can offer them something else. That's a perfect if-or statement that's coming through there. And I think it's up to 3 times. I wouldn't recommend doing more than 3, but you can go all the way to 3 different offers going through that process. I have seen people, if you say no, they discount it even further and they say, okay, well, how about now? Discount it even further. Okay, and how about now? And then hopefully they grab on the third one. But I feel like you're killing your brand at that point. I think if you're having 3 bites of the cherry at 3 different discounts, it's not going to talk well for your future lifetime value of that customer for sure.
And I think I want to tailor it to where that customer is on their journey with me as well. I wanted a little portable second monitor, so when I'm out and about next week, I can set up in a coffee shop and have 2 screens. I'm going to look like an absolute tool. I don't care. I can't do as much without 2 screens. So Temu hit me with an ad, and so I got sucked into Temu land. I know, but it gave me what I needed, and it so perfect. I ended up with six different things.
6.
Like,
so I've never purchased from Temu, so I've got no idea.
Well, they just do exactly that. They we'll give you this for free now, and they'll give you this for free. And now, I cannot move for TV notifications about. And so I think there is a line, and I think Team have crossed it. And I think what you want to make sure with your brand that you don't do, I think you need to be sensitive to what you're doing as well. So if you're a subscription brand and things, and someone has just signed up, I think you are absolutely right. There is opportunity there to increase that AOV and all those magical figures and stuff that you need to report back. But there's also an opportunity there to set out your stall with that customer. And if it's the first time customer, you just got to think of it as a first date. It's gone well, you bought drinks, you secured the next date. When you've secured that sale, don't mess it all up. So absolutely, I think the beauty of Rebuy, the power of Rebuy is in the sort of the user that's setting it up. And I think sometimes it can be a little bit set and forget, and let's onboard, let's do the basic and see how it goes. I think it needs constant tailoring and fettling and things. And there's also other things. Yeah, there's also other things at this stage as well, I would say, dependent on your brand and your goals. If you were just selling big ticket items, one-time purchase, then yeah, absolutely sell them the cleaning kit, sell them the footstool to the sofa that they might not have seen, and all of those sorts of things. if you're like looking for retention and replenishment and subscription, I think I would argue a better thing to do between the checkout and the thank you page is ask them what led them to purchase that today. Ask them what goals that product is going to help them reach, because then that feeds my end of things in the email follow-ups with more personalized, tailored content to rather than trying to secure the deal there and there at the end of the first date, maybe do it in WhatsApp the next morning.
Yeah, 100%. I think you bang on about where that person is as a customer with you. Is it that first date? Is it something? Also knowing your brand, because if you are a team you, then you don't have a brand to protect here. You just need to do what you need to do and get those purchases. But if you are somebody that wants those repeat purchases, that you are looking for them to come back for the customer lifetime value and build up their loyalty, 100%, you want to take a lot of care here, because that is something that can ruin. When I was saying about the buy now not getting ruined by the buy more, that doesn't mean that the buy later doesn't get ruined. So you've still got to be conscious of that element of that retention going forward. But 100%, you need to make sure about where that customer is in their life cycle with you. But the other thing that you need to make sure is it needs to be tailored based on what they actually ordered as well. And you've got to make sure that you're doing it from that point of view, that you're not trying to sell them more of the same thing, because ultimately that, again, if you're just selling them more of the same thing, that is going to kill your longevity with that customer coming back and being a loyal customer too.
Yeah, it's tailoring, it's personalization. It's making sure you're tailoring this strategy to the customer and where they're at with you, as opposed to the AOV KPI that you're going to be challenged on.
Yep. A lot of brands will go for that. Let's get as much as we can, as quick as we can, not thinking about what the future and the sustainability of your brand is. And, that's something, if we have to go back to the ChatGPT thing, you're not really going to have this ability to do upsells and cross-sells, because if they're buying it in-app, you don't own that experience anymore. You own the experience afterwards. So you need to get good at really, really nurturing that customer long-term as well. While we're on that, let's just talk quickly about editing an order if you've made a mistake on your checkout. It's just a shout out to old Hamish and the awesome app that they've built, more the order editing app.
Or very young Hamish, as is more accurate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I mean by old. I didn't mean old. I mean young old.
Yeah.
More Hamish, who's building in public, and everybody loves watching the journey. That ability to let people fix a mistake quickly by themselves, great customer experience for one, but two, the ability there for you to upsell and cross-sell as well, and actually build up that rapport. And actually, this is giving them an experience where they go, hell, I'll shop again with them, because the experience is so easy. If I have made a mistake, it's okay. I can go and fix that.
Yeah. And it's just one of those why didn't I think of that moments, isn't it? I think a lot of us has probably felt that as we've seen it grow, because so simple, and we've all done it as well. I did it the other day where I'd moved house just before Christmas, and when you use Apple Pay, some sites it will just throw in the address you've got registered on Apple Pay, which wasn't actually even the house I've just moved out of, was the house before that. No order editing functionality, so I've got to get in touch with them. So that's a pain in the ass for me. It's also a pain in the ass for that brand, because hopefully they've got Gorgeous or something like that set up, but it's a customer service call. So absolutely. I think though, like a lot of people, as I've seen it when I've seen order editing in action, there is functionality to create flows to do exactly what we've just talked about. So it's a service sort of option in the first and foremost to mitigate against customer service calls and to allow the user to change something if they need to. There's also the opportunity to upsell. It's like, you might have forgot to order the batteries that you need, or you might have forgot to order this cleaning spray that you might have needed for your new kits. And so there's that option as well.
Fantastic. Rich, let's get into your bread and butter now. Order confirmation emails, probably the first email that they're going to be receiving from you at this point.
And it's the thing that we all want, we all need, we all leave the, because order confirmation pages are all the same. They give you all of this information that none of us take down or print off. My dad probably still does, but we leave the tab open until the order confirmation email comes through, because we all still have somewhere inside, and our children probably won't, because it's all they'll ever known, but buying from the internet is a little bit scary. And did that go through? Did that work? So you want that order confirmation email to be instant, factual. You also, we absolutely will build out order confirmation emails in an email platform as opposed to a Shopify. But I would always sort of lend, because it can look nicer and it can look better. But you've also got to remember, a lot of people are going to be, I will put as much stuff through work as I physically can. I've tested a lot of flows for a lot of brands, as far as my accountant's concerned. And so we need to have that breakdown, that itemize, the boring bit, the receipt, basically. So keep it instant. Don't try and delay it. Keep it instant and keep it factual. If you can do all that dynamically and make it look better in your email platform of choice, great. Otherwise, a Shopify order confirmation email will serve its purpose. You also want to try and isolate anything else from landing at the same time as it. You want it to stand alone as that order confirmation that just gives me the facts that I need at that point.
Yeah, that's great. So the amount of times that I get 2 emails and you're like, well, which is the one that I need to be looking at right now? What's the one I need to save? But yeah, in terms of the psychology around it, it's exactly what you're saying, that everybody's got that anxious moment. And it's also, I don't know, this is just like the way that you used to like, normally when you hand something over, in exchange, you're getting something back. But with e-commerce, you're handing something over and then you're waiting. And it's like, okay, now what? So getting that order confirmation, it's just a little bit more confirmation for lack of better terms. Here we go. We've got your order. This is what's happening. Here's your proof of purchase. Like you say, here's your receipts. Done. Cool. I'm getting my order. You're feeling less scammed at that point as well.
Yeah, exactly. You breathe that sigh of relief. You're like, great, okay, that job that I had to do is now ticked off. I've ordered it. I've got the order confirmation. I've screenshotted it and sent it to my fiance. Yeah, I did that today. Next job.
Right. So the one thing that we probably didn't touch on then, I don't know if you recommend it, is making sure that you've actually got a bit of information of when it's likely to land as well. We always talk about having your shipping details on page so people understand when they're going to get their order. Is that order confirmation time for you to do that? Or are you waiting for these order update emails instead?
I think the order confirmation email is an opportunity to set the expectations of what comes next. Everybody has different delivery partners, and sometimes actually you have multiple different delivery partners dependent on the product that someone has ordered. So we've worked with a tiling company, for example, who would use a different courier for sending an order of tiles on a pallet than they would for sending their samples and things. So I think splitting out based on what someone has bought and setting the expectation. So for me at this stage, it's really important that it's a bit like a breadcrumb trail, Hansel and Gretel. Each sort of point leads you to the next point. So if in your order confirmation email, you can confirm what to expect next, and it'll be over the coming days, and leave it broad, because you've always got to leave it to meet all requirements. You don't want to have a Easter weekend, if you don't ship on bank holidays. You don't want to have an email that goes out on a Thursday evening at 10 o'clock to say in the next 48 hours you will receive confirmation from our delivery partner, when they're not going to receive it until Tuesday. So just set the expectation, keep it as relevant as possible, but as broad as possible, as meets all. And says the next thing you will hear is look out for an email from Royal Mail, DPD, DHL, with
give
updates.
The worst case scenario, basically. You're like, this could be up to 3 working days.
Yeah, exactly that. So set that expectation. Then I think to all brands out there, if you haven't ordered anything from yourself in the last 3 to 6 months, do it today. Order something from yourself and just see what that experience is like. obviously there's like 3PLs and delivery partners and stuff. There's Big Blue. There's all sorts of things where you can tailor that experience in and amongst with them. But where you're at the peril of DPD or raw mail, they will change the way that they do things, and you won't necessarily update. It's bad enough already that their updates aren't going to look as prim and proper as yours, but
Yeah.
people understand that you're passing it over to the delivery partner.
Mm.
But order something from yourself, because then
Mm.
you actually see what the expectation is, and just make sure that everything marries up with what you're sending out to what your partners are sending out. So yeah, order updates. You can integrate all sorts of things, and so you can have tracking numbers and stuff that go into, not into order confirmation emails, but once you're into like post purchase and those sorts of flows and things, you can put tracking numbers into your own sort of brand emails. But yeah, order updates is the next piece of anxiety. So that initial anxiety of, did that go through? Have I sent it to the right address? That's relaxed. The next anxiety a user moves on to, or a customer moves on to, is, when's it going to be here, and who's bringing it as well? If it's
Yeah.
every, because that is the only option you've got because of your margins and stuff, that's fine, but just almost compensate for that with the way in which you kind of present it.
What were they called previously? I forgot.
Like their brand, or what people call them
Yeah.
locally.
Because they renamed to Every like a few years back.
Hermes.
Hermes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good change in brand name, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So just for clarity on this, you saying it's a mixture of whoever's fulfilling, so if it's someone like you say DPD sending these emails, but a mixture from you as well. Would you recommend that you're sending like more of your friendly customer service, like, hey, if you don't get this email, let us know, being a little bit more proactive in that customer service sort of front? Sort of just to make them know that you're there and you are available if they're not getting these things.
Yeah, look, I think it's the triggers that are available to you. Like an automation, a flow email is always triggered by an action, by an event. So your order confirmation is triggered by someone placing an order. You might have other, we're about to start working with one client that does like ice baths and saunas and stuff, and so they have different emails that trigger based on if they've ordered a certain product, which is basically the how-to guides, how to build and things. I think, at the point that an order is fulfilled, there's a new trigger there. So if order fulfilled at your end means you've ticked that box, what normally then happens, let's say if it's DPD, is you get an email say, we're expecting your parcel. And so if you're working with DPD and you do that order and you see that is what the user gets, do you need to also send them an email to say, we're about to give your parcel to DPD? Probably not. But an hour later or the next morning, it's fine, absolutely fine to send an email that sort of says, good news, it's on its way. You should have heard from DPD or whatever it is. So I'm saying, just be sympathetic to the end user and what they're getting, and just fill in the gaps. I think that message that you mentioned there as well, it's like, we're here to help. If any of this stuff hasn't gone as we've explained it will do, or any concerns at all, here's how to get in touch with us.
Here's our email address. Here's our phone number. This is your order details, all of that stuff. Everything that you know at that point that you can give them.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Rich, how does this differ from the next one, the post-purchase flow?
Okay. So all of the flows that we've just been talking about are really more geared towards the user and their experience. You covered right at the start. Yeah, they've just made a purchase. So you've done a lot of the hard work, or ChatGPT has, if you're that way inclined. So everything we sort of talked about there is really about service level instead of acquisition and the more the e-commerce KPIs that we're all like AOV. However, there are opportunities within there to do it in a service kind of way. Oh, you might not have spotted this. Do you want to add it to your order? It's the best way to keep this product clean. It's the best attachment to use with this product. At this point now, post-purchase, we've handled all of the anxieties. We've got across the sort of objections and potential issues with delivery and things. And what the post-purchase should be is, product is in hand or is about to be in hand, and you're handling that exactly as the name suggests. What's now happening now the purchase stage is complete. Now, I'd say 75% of accounts that we audit and brands that we audit are handling all of what we've just talked about in one flow, or trying to.
Okay.
So placed order happens, they send a thank you email. They maybe delay it for 5 minutes because the order confirmation email goes out, then there's a thank you. And then they wait 3 days and they send an email that they've sort of said, it should be with you by now, or it should be on its way. And then they wait 7 days and they do a review request. And then they wait another 3 days and then they try and say, well, you might, if you like this, you'll like that sort of thing. What I would sort of always say is to split these things up into separates. So, you know, if someone places an order and then unfortunately uses that order editing software to change it in some way, and you've built a whole flow based on that placed order trigger, you're not going to, the content, and heaven forbid you've realized that thing's out of stock, you've had to cancel it, you're still going to be firing out those emails. So the placed order trigger should only really be used for those initial service level things. Then the fulfilled trigger is your friend. So once something has been fulfilled, you know that it's left you. Now, there's still some scope, and so you still put the filters in that if someone's cancelled an order or if a refund has occurred, then you change or you just boot them out of that flow altogether. But post-purchase then starts that really building them up towards what their next use is to you as a brand. Yeah. So, you know, the example there, review request NPS surveys, not surveys. You know how I love pulling you up on a typo.
No. Rich, it wouldn't be an episode of Rich and Bob together if you didn't call me up on a typo.
Yeah. Well, thanks for dropping that Easter egg in there, and I'm happy that I passed your test. So yeah, I think, again, looking at the different brand and what you do, if you are a big ticket item, one-time purchase, then it is really about reviews, referrals, and trying to turn that person into being an ambassador for your brand. So what can we do? You know, first of all, are they happy? So yeah, review request is a pretty key one. And dependent on what you're using for reviews, whether it's Judge Me, reviews.io, oh God, I've started now, so I've got to name them all, haven't I? Yotpo, Clavio, Looks, whatever you're using.
Reviews platform, Judge Me.
Yeah. You obviously want to trigger the review to go at the right time based on the product. So don't send it as it's arrived. If it's a supplement or a skincare brand, send it when it's likely to have had an impact. Absolutely ask them for a Trustpilot brand site level review, but product review wise, wait until it's going to be a relevant question. Then trigger a different sort of flow based on a positive review versus a negative review. Because there's no point in then continuing to have a separate flow that is not being sympathetic to what's happened. Again, we talk about those triggers. Post-purchase, in a world where you want to be, ideally you're relying on LTV and repeat orders and things, slightly different tact. I'd almost say reviews becomes a secondary sort of requirement at that point. And really what you want to be doing is using a good replenishment flow or some good use of AI or tools like
I'm going to stop you there because we were jumping a little bit too far in, and I've got a few questions for you, if you don't mind.
Go on.
Okay. So we've got NPS surveys. Now, NPS surveys can come in two places. One, like you mentioned earlier, on that thank you page, you can ask for an NPS survey and ask them a couple of questions to figure out more about why they purchased today. What was their biggest goal? What was their problem that they're trying to solve? But you can also get that NPS survey based on what the experience was of the website and making that purchase. Another great question is, what almost stopped you from purchasing today?
Yeah.
That's cool information that we can use later, probably in your post-purchase flows and your replenishment flows and things like that you just mentioned. But the other NPS survey, what's your thoughts on having the NPS survey go out to understand if they do like your product, and if they do, it's more of a private internal rating, whereas if you're getting an 8, 9, or 10, even probably a 6, 7, you're more than likely then to get a positive review, and then triggering the review flows after that to those people you're more likely to get a good review from.
Yeah.
What's your feelings on that order?
Yeah, I'm happy. So when you talk about NPS surveys, a lot of the terminology we're using here as well matters shit to the customer. Like they
Yeah.
are just all about engagement, relationship, and interaction and things.
Yep.
So if an NPS survey for you is an email with a sort of set of stars and things, and when they click on that star, it then maybe leads them
Yeah.
either
1
to
to
a
10.
review request or a customer service form, and also property tags them at that point within
Yeah.
your CRM platform to say which star they've ticked, and that then decides on their rating with you as to what next. And then yeah, I'm up for it. If
Yeah.
you're talking about an NPS survey where it's a bit more of a hi customer, we'd like to ask you a few questions about your recent purchase.
Nope.
No, not a fan.
No, I'm talking about NPS as in how likely are you to recommend us as a brand based on your experience so far?
Yeah.
And ultimately, you're getting feedback on quite a few different elements there. If they tick something that's very low, anything below a 6 is that they're not going to be a referrer. You want to trigger, in my mind, you want to trigger them the ability to get in touch with customer service, or at the minimum, trigger a customer service ticket so that your customer service reaches out to them on a human
I think,
basis. Hey,
yeah,
how's
I
it
think the
going?
trigger there is to say, really sorry to hear that this was less than we know than the experience we'd like you to have. Would you be open to one of us getting in touch with you at some point to discuss your
Yes.
experience? Yeah, happy.
Yeah. And then if you're anywhere above that, okay, cool. This customer sounds like they really like their experience. Now let's send them a review request off the back of that.
Yeah. Yeah, can you then, do you want to tell your friends about it? Here's some incentive for you to do that, and some, you can be the hero of your neighborhood and
Yep.
give them all discounts as well. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. So in terms of the order of NPS and review request, would you say it's probably better to do the NPS first before review, or the other way, or it doesn't really matter anymore?
I think it depends on the brand and the product. I
Yeah.
think if it's a product that is likely to immediately impact your life, your well-being, and within 7 days you'll be feeling the effects of it, and I think a product review is really, really relevant as quickly as possible.
Mhm.
If I think it's more likely that at this point it's unlikely that you'll have really experienced the product in its full glory, and what you're asking for is more about the experience of what making the purchase, taking delivery, and then the initial everything that we've just discussed, the experience so far is, that's where I go with more of an MPS style thing.
Cool. Post purchase
Poach
flow.
purchases.
Something.
Yeah. Purchasing poached eggs.
Purchase. I'm struggling. Post purchase flow. If it's something that you want, and before we get into replenishment and reorder, if it is something that is likely to be a repeat order, something that people are going to come back pretty regularly for, in your post-purchase flow, would you recommend sending things like, here's how you can use it? If it's a product that goes in to other recipes, here's some recipes on how you can use our product. If it's like, let's use a protein shake. This is ways you can have our protein shake. We find value in people having this for breakfast. This is how they have it for lunch. Giving them further ideas on how to use your product. Is that something that you would say goes into this post-purchase flow?
I think the first thing you need to do is branch and split out the people going through this flow as to where they're at in the relationship. So I go back to the first date sort of thing. So it's a different set of information and a different tact for someone who's just made their first ever purchase with you, to someone that's then come back and made a second purchase, to someone
Yeah.
that's just made their third purchase. This is if they're outside of subscription. If they fall into subscription, you can be lighter touch with it. But I think you really, first of all, need to be sympathetic to where they're at with you. If it's their first purchase, then absolutely you want to be trying to encourage the use of the product. So we work with a frozen fruit and vegetable brand. So they do like smoothie packs. They're called Packed. And the wonder of the frozen fruit and stuff, and they're great, is that they last forever, or for a long time. The problem with the frozen fruit and the frozen veg is that they last forever. And so when you want to be encouraging improving that sort of recurring purchase times and stuff, you want to use that sort of content, if you said, to sort of encourage people. Alcohol is another one. Worked with a really nice rum brand a long time ago. And what we found is people were buying it because it's a really nice brand with a really nice story, but they were just putting it on a rum shelf or in a liquor cupboard,
Never drinking
and
it.
getting it out on special occasions. And so what
Mm.
we need to do with both of those brands is we need to be sending them regular sort of ideas for recipes, or for drinks sort of servings and things. So like, it sounds like you've had a few already today because, it's, what time is it there? 8 p.m.
Right, I haven't had one since August last year, so no, definitely haven't.
But like, we want to be sending you sort of emails this time today or into sort of tomorrow with suggestions for what you can do at the weekend.
Yeah.
I got a wonderful hamper from my brother of sauce shop products at Christmas. I don't know what to do with them. So I need to be encouraged constantly to be sort of like, what, you've got this rub or you've got this sauce. Here's some ideas for the weekend, because then that replenishment is going to come around quicker than if you just leave them to their own devices. So yeah, I think
because that was a gift, those emails are probably going to your brother.
well,
What's he
no,
using gift notes?
that's a whole different, might be something for today, might be a whole different query. But how do you get to that end user in that gifting thing? But yeah, to
Gift
answer your
Note.
question,
Great app called Gift Note.
okay, I'll write it down.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, to answer your question, I think the first thing I always like to do is be sympathetic to where they're at with their journey. Because if you just send recipes every time a purchase is made and someone purchases that all the time, they're just getting the same shit all the time. So let's first of all be respective of where they're at with their journey and then tailor the content based on collection product down from there.
Just being smart with your data, making sure that you just using that continuously. And I think, Rich, that's probably what a lot of people get wrong with email marketing, is they do go and set up flows and they just go, yeah, this is what happens. And they focus purely on that first time customer. And they don't realize that those repeat customers are coming back and then just getting that same stuff sent to them constantly, that they're now completely cold to that because you've done it before.
Yeah. I think another thing as well is ask people what they want from you. Like, I think we do a lot of auditing of email platforms, CRM platforms and stuff. And I get to the end of that audit and I'm like, what is the, you've bought this audit from me. I've presented it back to you. What's the best thing I can do from you for here? Do you want to know about more products that we offer? Do you want me to, send you these tips in a follow-up email and stuff over the course of the next few weeks so that you can get things up to speed? Or do you want me to just leave you? Like,
Yeah.
What's your ideal sort of scenario? Because if you just keep pummeling people with ideas and things like that, they're going to unsubscribe, because I think we are all much stricter with our inboxes than perhaps we've been previously. So yeah, I think ask the person what they want. Personalization, that's the key word all the way through this.
I'm glad you brought that up. We've actually got that within. We've got a different diagnostic call for people that are worried about what's going on with their conversion rate or their average order value, and we have that call. It's more of a strategic call, but it's not necessarily a sales call. It's more about, hey, can we help you? Let's see, you're in our network. You've seen some of our marketing. You've done something, and the very first question that we're asking them there: are you here because you've seen our work and you want us to pitch you something, essentially? And I'm using the bluntest language possible there. Or are you here just because you want some advice and you want to take that away and you don't actually have the budget to work with us? And just getting that out the way right in the beginning, like you say, even with these email flows, if you get that out the way, then you never have to worry about it again at the end. And you know exactly what to do, because then okay, well, I'm going to talk through it, but at the end of this, I'm going to talk to them about how we can actually help them, or I'm going to get through that call and it's just more about, hey, I've helped you out today. That's awesome. Cool. One day you're going to be ready to come back to me because you got value from me today, but right now it's not the time for that.
Yeah, it's purpose, isn't it?
Get that wrong.
It's purpose. No one likes getting sales calls. I don't know about you, but I don't like making sales calls. No one likes getting sales emails. And I often, like when we do these agency meetups, I see I hate sending sales emails. How do you make them different? So just don't do them. Just have conversations. And I think it's the same with this. Don't just send sales emails, because that is the quickest route to being unsubscribed. But if
Yeah.
you make it, and I think yes, I suppose in an acquisition world, ChatGPT, your team ChatGPT, in a sort of death of email, kind of post-purchase customer engagement sort of world, I think WhatsApp's probably going to be the biggest changer there. And I think it's probably the combination of those two superpowers of ChatGPT and WhatsApp that are going to come together. And those
I
things aren't.
had a massive disagreement with Adam the other day about this WhatsApp story.
I just
I'm a
think.
massive hater of brands being on my WhatsApp. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like my WhatsApp is my personal thing. That's, for my, like, talking to my friends, talking to my family. It's not something for work. It's not something for getting from brands. That's where my inbox drives me insane, and I can filter that stuff out. But don't send
Have
me a
you
WhatsApp.
have you dealt with a customer service issue of your own in WhatsApp with a brand yet?
I have not, because I
Yeah.
don't answer anything in WhatsApp.
But that was the game changer for me, because I think it was Southwest Water, and it was a change of address sort of thing. And it was like, you can call us. The average wait time is 10 to 12 minutes, or you can start a conversation in WhatsApp. And I didn't have 10 to 12 minutes to wait on hold, so I started a conversation in WhatsApp. And I got a bot which asked me what my issues were and stuff, but then it said, right, I'm going to connect you to the right person. But because it was conversational, like, I left it a day before I responded at one point, but then it was fine. And I just think you're right, WhatsApp is more personal, but there are brands that you actually want to be quite personal with, because it's a big important purchase and things. And I do think WhatsApp is going to be a place where a lot of these conversations, and I say conversations because everything we're talking about here is broadcast, and I just think WhatsApp is going to be more of a conversational tool where you can check the progress of your order. You can ask for an update on the order, and then your ChatGPT bots and things are going to be going and finding the right information and feeding it back in a conversational way. So yeah, I think just don't. You said about sales calls, sales emails. Just don't send sales emails. Send emails that are tailored to what that person has told you their goals are, the level of contact they want to have from you, and what sort of content they find useful.
Help first, ask later.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, and what you said as well. We just did a webinar with Gorgeous on Tuesday, and what they're rolling out is this conversational support as well. Off the back of it, I had another customer service reach out and saying to me that they've been seeing this as a trend as well, and they're looking to develop that up as well. They wanted to know what my customers felt, things like that, and what my clients felt about it. And I was like, I just feel the world is going more conversational. And I think, we started this conversation with this whole thing. And I think that's the way we'll look at it. Less transactional, more conversational.
And I think, your point about everyone's just going to do everything in ChatGPT. I
shouldn't brand it ChatGPT.
Okay, but I don't necessarily agree with that. But I do agree there's going to be a consolidation of tech. Yeah. And I do agree that, we've got all of these tools and all of these things. And I think we're already seeing some big players in the industry moving to sort of consolidate and bring everything under one roof, because what you really want is it just makes for a better experience for the end user, rather than having to pull information from here and from here and from here and from here. Yeah, everything just sort of sits in one place.
But I suppose that was inevitable, because naturally, when new things started happening, and it's happening with AI, there's so many AI tools, but eventually there's going to be 2 or 3 people that just dominate it, and then everybody's just naturally going to fall back to those.
Yeah,
and I think we're slowly but surely getting trained into a different way of working with the internet. What we're dealing with the internet right now is not what we dealt with the internet 4 years ago. Yeah. And that's insane to think that, because the internet is still young, but we're using it in a completely different way. We're getting very off topic, Rich. I know that you were desperate to go into this flow over here: replenishment, reorder.
Yeah, I think it's it does feed a lot of what we've talked about. People might be asking the question, well, where's the accountants or the FDs might be asking, well, where's the extra money? And I think it's an investment in them being well placed to make these things. And I think again, these things have to be personalized and well thought out. There's a lot of broad brush, like, okay, placed order 28 days later. Are you ready? Is the fridge looking bare? Are you ready for a top up, sort of thing? And I think there's tools now, and we've all got them at our disposal, that are way more intelligent and so more predictive in terms of those sort of the gap that needs to be. So rather than a broad brush, look at if there's any history on that individual themselves. That's the first place to go to. If not, the next place to go to is everyone that's just like this person that has placed a similar order that has then gone on to repurchase. What is the average amount of time that is taking place? And so timing that really, really well rather than broad brush, I think, is the first step.
Cool. What about an app like Relo? I don't even know if I'm saying it right.
Yeah, I'm never sure like what I can and can't mention. But yeah, if we can mention Reload, then great. Because we've got some big fans of that here. I think especially for subscription brands where like the first purchase is more of a sort of try it and things.
Yeah.
Reload, I'd say, is also one of the most underutilized platforms.
So unknown,
Similarly with rebuy and things. And look, I think, we're all guilty of it. And it starts with these things. Like, we download these apps and we have all of these things because we see the advert and we buy into it. It's going to make our life better. And then we don't give the app the information or don't tick the boxes that it needs. So I think quite often we go and see a tech stack and it's been set up and just forgotten about. And so, I'd say Relay is one of the most underutilized. There's a lot of good tools in Relay that you can use, that you can plug into all of your other tools to really make your flows more intelligent. And again, the keyword, more personalized. If anyone's got that on their bingo card or is playing a drinking game every time you mention it, then they're going to be hammered. But it is the aim of the game.
Yeah, 100%. Right. So let's move on slightly now. You've done all of these things and you realize this customer you haven't heard from them in months and months and months, and they're still on your CRM and you still want to get in touch with them. What are you doing?
I think first of all, you've got to understand. So if we take the sort of steps, so, we've kind of skipped past subscribe to email, never purchased. That's more in the acquisition conversation for another day. We're dealing with everyone that's purchased. So again, I think there's an element of personalization there. Did they just purchase once, or did they purchase twice and then never come back? If they just purchased once, I'd argue, are they a win back, or are they just never really want them in the first place, sort of thing?
Yeah.
So
you need probably 3 purchases before you can really consider them.
Yeah, exactly.
Customer.
And then what I want you to do is I want you to sort of like print out or write down or ask ChatGPT, like, how long are these other processes that we've just been talking about? So how long is that post-purchase flow running to try and sort of win them back and stuff? And is there anything else, review requests, all of these things? Let's say at 45 days, you call it with your post-purchase and you're like, right, well, if they haven't purchased now, then they'll be in our sort of campaign system. Then decide when your win back sort of kicks in. So, look at some of your repeat order rates in terms of, look at the average, look at the best case, but look at some of the worst cases and stuff, and just make a sensible decision. Don't just stick it at 90 days because that's what someone on a seminar or someone in an audit feedback or what the default Klaviyo template or Omnisend template or anything like that might be. Tailor it to your brand. So when are we considering that they are lost or a churn risk? And then tailor the content. Don't go in with discount, because it might just be that they haven't been getting your campaign emails or they don't monitor that inbox. But go in with something that sort of says about your purchase, because that is really what you're doing. You're not don't try and be clever and make it just look incidental. Be really upfront and call that email about your purchase and sort of go, look, you bought this from us, or you were buying this from us, you haven't been. And maybe go with an NPS angle. Is there a reason, sort of thing, or what did you think of it, based on whether you've had reviews or not? And just try and win them back in that way, first of all. If not,
Mhm.
obviously then discounting, dependent on your brand's take on discounting and things. But don't just throw a discount, because that email might be reminding them. If you're not good at campaigns, or if your segmentation is poor and you haven't actually been sending this person any emails, that might be the email that they go, oh yeah, I did buy that and I do need more of it. I'm going to do that now. You don't need to give them 20% off. If they don't buy from that, or they don't do anything, they don't even open it, then get a little bit more. Because if this is your Hail Mary and your data analysis says that if they're not buying now, then they probably will never buy again, then yeah, do what it takes. Not in the first email, please.
What is your Hail Mary? What's your go-to strategy?
I think Sunset is more the Hail Mary sort of territory, and that's where you sort of use. I often call it like a defibrillator. So a Sunset flow, for anyone that doesn't know, is more about list health in your CRM platform. It's more about if someone's been thoroughly unengaged, and so
Now that includes people that haven't actually purchased from you, that just signed up to your
two levels. I mean, we're talking about a post-purchase today. So if we go
Yeah.
Sunset in a previous customer, because I think you might have a
You
90
treat them
day.
differently, right?
Yeah, 100%. So if someone has subscribed, never purchased, there is a step if you're selling on Amazon and in other places to sort of ask them that question at the end of a welcome flow or something like, did you purchase this somewhere else? Because I think especially when you talk about ChatGPT, TikTok Shop, people might be buying from these other platforms and you're not getting given their data. Amazon, TikTok, that's the issue with those platforms. They might sign up for your email so they don't miss out on anything that you're saying, because but they might be buying you somewhere else for prime convenience or whatever. So check that. But yeah, Sunset for someone that has signed up, spent 90 days not opening emails, it's a dummy email address, it's a spam filter or something like that. We push them through a Sunset really quickly. If someone showed purchase experience, purchase history or behaviors, and then fallen unengaged, slightly different tag. We probably give them a little bit longer. And the sort of defibrillator example is, a hooky, baity subject line. So get free beer. If you're a beer brand and you've got someone in your database that hasn't been opening your emails, hasn't been visiting your site, and hasn't been buying a beer for long enough that you consider them to be all but dead to you, send them an email that says claim your free beer. If they don't open that email, they're done, they're over. If they do open it, that is the goal of that Sunset flow. So the offer itself, you need to deliver. You can't just go, gotcha. That's not a good experience. But it might be claim a free case of beer when you order 2 or something like that. The purchase doesn't actually matter at that point. It's just testing if there's any life there. If there is, then go on.
No, you carry on. You're still
If there is, then they fall back into a state of engagement, and they might sort of fall back in with you. But yeah, win back Sunset. So win back for me, the Hail Mary, it's difficult without a specific brand to be sort of talking about.
I think you gave a great example there with the beer brand. I think that works well. And I'm going to wind you up properly now. So if they don't engage with that email, just delete them off your CRM. Done?
Win back or Sunset?
The Sunset.
Never. The word delete is a scary one, so we don't ever use the word delete. The only person that you ever delete is in line with the GDPR request and stuff. But suppress, archive, whatever the terminology on your platform of choice is, absolutely, because they're just clogging up your lists. It's just a difficult one for brand owners to swallow, because they hear suppress data, they hear throw money down the toilet, when in fact the opposite is the case.
Yeah, cool. Rich, we've talked a lot about the digital experience. Okay. What we haven't spoken about is that post-purchase and the unboxing experience, and that first time when somebody gets something like our friends, ankle bats, some ice cream.
Yeah.
Put it in the freezer, and let's see how that goes. Rich,
Did you ever get the, you wouldn't have done, but did you ever see, hang on.
No, I didn't. Steve doesn't love me enough then.
Well, no, I sent you that one. Steve does love you.
That's
you
what I
live in
mean. Steve
Australia.
doesn't love me enough.
So yeah, I've got the brain freeze.
Yeah.
I've also got the Christmas eggnog or eggnoggin flavour, which is
So
what
that,
my
that
Uncle Matt's Santa hat came in.
you are very, very aware of what Steve's doing with this brand. So Uncle Matt's hats. We've if anybody's listening to this and you haven't listened to the podcast that we had with Steve from Uncle Matt's, go and listen to it, because this unboxing, what we're talking about right now, we've actually got a whole episode with Steve and he walks us through everything that he's done. But Rich,
I mean,
high level from your side.
the very
Huh?
fact that two chaps like us with partners, families that are buying and receiving a lot of shit every day and recycling a lot of packaging have to hand our boxes that these hats came in. I've even actually got the cardboard box still as well, because
I do too. And that cupboard over there.
mine's on a shelf there. Tells you everything you need to know about their unboxing experience.
So can you walk us through high level what this experience is and why it's so good, and why brands should look at that and go, I should freaking strive for that?
It's just another opportunity, and I think in a world where acquisition of customers has never been as expensive as it is now, you need to be taking every opportunity you've got once you've acquired that customer to get every last bit of juice out of them. So unboxing experience for me starts at the external box. You know, COVID was terrible, but also left us with some habits now that sort of live on, and that's that parcels are often on doorsteps for hours and hours at a time, and neighbours are driving past it and things. And I think that's first, it's an advert. You know, you can tell everyone in that street that you've just bought a Dyson, or well, that would probably get nicked, wouldn't it? But you know that your small delivery has come, your detergents, or your, you know, hopefully not too long on the step, but your frozen smoothies, your packed box has come. So I think there's also, you know, most things I get delivered come to the office. It's a shared office building. There's more of those than ever, and you see things sat there. I bought a goal for the kids to play in the back garden because I saw one got delivered here, Networld Sports, and thought, yeah, I need one of those. Went and bought it. So I think that's
while you're on that, shout out to Mateship, the app that helps buildings, apartment blocks, things like that, big office blocks.
Okay.
Basically, if you ordered it and your building had the app and everybody had it inside, they'll get notified that you're getting a shipment, and they can get free shipping with it if they just bolt on top of your order. You don't have to pay for their orders, but ultimately everybody gets to order and they get free shipping because it's all going to the same building. Great way for additional acquisition. While we're talking about apps at this point as well, what you said, Richard, during COVID, what happened was, I'm sure you've met Doug from Penny Black, and Doug got absolutely the hell in with the experience of just getting a bland box and nothing inside, and everything was not personal. And Doug actually built a company out of the back of it, which gets personalized messages based on what you ordered. So essentially, it's your email personalization flows, but physical with a message.
Yeah, we love Penny Black. I did some content with Molly recently about some good experiences with that. They sent me some lovely tea bags as well. Note to Bob. So yeah, I think the external, and then like you've just sort of said, good segue in. Then when you bring the package in, assuming it hasn't been nicked, it's then that moment. And I think again, sound like a broken record, but if you can tailor it to be, if you can tailor that experience to be sensitive to where that user is at with your journey, sort of thing. So if it's their first ever purchase, slightly different experience to their second, where they've come back, to their third, to their fourth, to their fifth. And I think I like some of the movements that Recharge are making in terms of, you know, Recharge was a very functional app when I first met it. It's now doing more to sort of go, right, well, our responsibility isn't here to just process subscriptions, it's to help you retain them. And so some of those modules and like where and when to surprise and delight. So yeah, I think that first experience, the Penny Black experience, is great because it does all of the things that we've just talked about. It invites NPS, it invites refer a friend, and it just kicks you off really, really nicely with giving you everything that you're going to need. With the tea bags that I got, it was a lot about, you know, brew time, little word search to do while it's brewing and those sorts of things like that. I think then not you can only do that so many times though, because you can have so many templates and things. I think surprise and delight. I think it's the contact lens brand that name escapes me, but just a little 3p bag of Haribo like lands in each box and stuff. Like contact lenses are boring; they're a necessity. That's a little thing that might go, yeah, I like them because they always send me a Haribo. I think I had some. What I cannot wait to host Kelly from Elsera on the panel at eCom Collab Club next week, because if her voice notes to me so far on WhatsApp about the questions and about what she wants to cover or anything to go by, it's going to be a riot. But I know
what are you
she's
talking about?
getting messaging right on site and off site, but I know she's going to want to talk about the surprise and delight and just what her and Alyssa and the rest of the team have done with Elsera is like really impressive, and they've found that they're a science product essentially, but they're the way in which they approach it. I think she's a brand alchemist, which sort of tells you about how they go about things. But yeah, that surprise and delight sort of thing. So people are unboxing, and you can do something, you can put something in there to just go, hey, but don't just do it and then tag that segment that's had that surprise and delight with a little flow that says, hey, hope you like the little thing that we popped in there. Here it is on our site if it was good, if it was a sample of something and things like
that. And to use that analogy, and a lot of people probably understand this, definitely in the UK with Five Guys, is you order some chips with your burger. It doesn't just come with chips. It's overflowed. There's far too many for anybody. But that is intentional to just be like, oh, geez, okay, these guys are generous. They're not being schnoop with the chips that they're giving us. And essentially, it's taking that sort of learning and then doing that as well. And if you're a brand that delivers 6 cookies, if you're delivering 6 cookies, deliver 7. Just put 1 extra. They'll think it's a mistake the first time it happens, but eventually it's going to be like, hey, we ordered 6, but we got 7.
Yeah, I think
just those little things that look a little bit like out.
We always like to feel like we've had a win, don't we? Same with customer services, and sometimes people say, well, how do we deal with these people? Like, I'm like, just give them £5 store credit. Like, people just need to leave a negotiation, a sort of deal, a purchase, feeling like they've won, feeling like they've had value, feeling like they've been the winner in that scenario. So yeah, when I get 7 chicken nuggets instead of 6, I'm like buzzing. Or the one time that the Pret thing, did you ever have the Pret thing happen to you?
No.
So whether it's rumor or true and stuff, but Pret staff each day can just go, that one's on me. And it happened to me once, and I feel like I'm a bigger, more loyal Pret customer as a result of it.
Because
there's a guy in my hometown of Tamworth, not often Tamworth gets a shout out, called Spudman. And honestly,
you've spoken about him before.
Spudman it's basically because since the Snowdome in Tamworth, we've not really had anything to shout about in Tamworth. I left as well, devastating time for the town, I'm sure. But Spudman has really woken Tamworth up and is driving tourism to Tamworth. I say tourism, driving people to stop off on trips, places, a bit like Clarkson's Farm, the farm shop sort of thing.
Yeah.
And all he does is he's just got a GoPro and he's a Spud fan, and he films himself making spuds all day. But on these live streams of him making spuds, every now and then he'll go, don't worry, mate, that one's on me. And so people go there hoping that they will be the person that day that appears on TikTok that he's given a free spud to. And so, he's probably one of the richest spud men in the world. And now there's the Spud brothers up north, and they kind of are in competition. And but yeah, I think that surprise and delight element goes a long, long way with customers.
Yeah, 100%. Mate, we've officially gone 13 minutes over here already. So we were going to riff a little bit more about AI and things, but I think we did that enough in the beginning, and maybe we save that for another day when we are ready to talk more and spar a little bit more between you and I, and our disagreements between how far AI is going to take us, and
maybe give it 6
my
months.
optimism versus your pessimism.
Well, this has been recorded. This has been locked in. So in 6 months, we should do that. We should do like a session where we make some predictions for the future, and then revisit them.
100%. Check that out. Caitlin's giving us a little nice hat, boys. Huh?
Uncle Matt's hats.
Yeah, I hope Steve watches this episode because he's got a lot of love today.
Yeah, he gets a lot of love every day. It's such a fabulous thing.
Yeah, no, it's just got a really touching story behind it. It's got a reason. It's got a reason for the brand. It's got a good cause, but on top of that, it's got an awesome experience. And you know, I think there's a lot of brands that are a lot bigger than him and Uncle Matt's that could learn a shit ton from what he's doing right now and how that could improve their businesses if they just started to implement some of the things that he's doing. They don't even have to do it all. They just got to do some. And it'll go a long, long way to helping with this post-purchase experience.
Yeah, cool.
Hey, thank you so much for jumping in. Adam is up in Belfast. That's why you've stepped in today. But I appreciate you being host and being guest.
I thought it was just because I was better than Adam and you liked me more.
No, we were going to have you on as a guest, but you know, that's why you had to step in to be a guest and a host. But thanks, mate. I appreciate you doing this. And to everybody listening, please do give us a like, a share if you've enjoyed this episode. Rich has dropped some absolute bomber knowledge today, and I think you guys could probably learn a hell of a lot about your email and SMS marketing off the back of what Rich has told us today. And also go and check out the episode with Steve and Uncle Matt's. And please do give us a like, please do give us a share, and we'll see you again next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the eCom Collab Club podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, and join our community at ecomcollabclub.com/community.